This is your Daily 5 for Tuesday, February 24th, 2026. I've talked a few times before about my frustration with the way that many people who are AI proponents, specifically generative AI proponents, talk about the creation of art. Because in many cases, the people who are most behind using this technology want to tell you that artists just steal from each other, and therefore the fact that many of these tools are lifting partial or a majority of a person's individual style is okay, because all artists are really ripping each other off, and so you really can't get that worried about it. It's transformative enough. And my response to that, and this is highlighting yet another example of it, is, oh yeah? Well, tell that to the big companies who are making deals, issuing lawsuits, and getting settlements out of these companies because they're ripping off their IP. And we've just had another example. There's a tool called Cdance from a company titled ByteDance that is now being sued by Netflix and apparently some other companies, Paramount, Warner Films, it looks like, because you can use the tool to essentially remix their properties into new, very high quality video. And oh, wouldn't you know it, the companies that get the most money from the quote unquote art they create, which they don't, other people are creating it for them, they are apparently not on board with the whole idea that all artists steal. They don't seem to have this same utopian shared vision of how art is created, and that we should all just calm down about ownership of our original ideas because, hey, all art is theft. Well, I want to see these same people tell these companies that they should shut up. And I'd also like to know, if that's the case, if all art is in fact theft, then why are there so many laws that protect these large companies in terms of what they can sue other people for if it is determined that they are copying, but I thought it was all transformative, somebody else's work? See, this is what irritates me. This is why I get really honestly more upset about this specific thing than really AI in general, because when you're getting outside the generative realm, I think AI can be very, very beneficial. I've said that before. And in terms of non-creative applications of it, I look forward to what it's going to help. I do think there's lots of things that non-creative AI tools will improve in terms of people. Now, that's assuming that these companies don't, decide that they're going to hike prices so much that nobody can really use them, or that anybody using them is going to pass those prices along to the people underneath, which is typically how it goes. But we'll just have to see. But in the generative realm, in the creative realm, this art is theft defense of what these tools do keeps falling apart because, again, that only seems to apply to people with not enough money and lawyers to defend the works that apparently are all derived from other stolen works anyway. And that is, by the way, very true in some cases. Lando and I think in Fives I've talked about, Disney almost wholesale lifted many of its biggest IP, and I use quotes around that because it really isn't theirs, from existing mythology, fairy tales, and published works, and just transform them in terms of making them into cartoons, but we're doing the same stories that had existed. And I don't think that's right either, but that's, again, something that seems to be protected for large companies with fleets of lawyers and a truck ton of money. But when you get into smaller creators who are just trying to survive on their work and they feel they should defend it, suddenly there are a lot of people telling them that they should just calm down because, hey, you're ripping off artwork, so if somebody rips you off, it's not a big deal, and just settle down and shut up. And that's my problem. It's the hypocrisy involved. If it was the same argument all over the place, and if there was actual action to dismantle these laws so that these large companies weren't protected from this stuff, then it would be at least more of a conversation I could see both sides of. But as it stands, it is very clear that art is only theft when it is a large company, and anybody, again, who does not have the financial and, let's be honest, influence resources in terms of lobbying and other things of these large companies, well, their stuff is fair game. Their creativity doesn't seem to matter as much. Their imagination, not so unique. And they're griping about the fact that what little livelihood they're likely getting as it is, being usurped up and sucked into a large machine to be used by bigger companies that really aren't going to ever compensate them, that's not as big a concern. Well, guess what? It is a concern. So until I see this same all art is theft rationale applied universally, any other argument you're going to try to make to me in that point is going to come off as hypocrisy, and it's as simple as that. Later.